So last weekend, PLU football had a game against Pacific. It was a good game. It was really fun to watch. We'll go through the scoring summary right quick. On the first drive of the game, PLU went 82 yards in 7 plays. It ended with a touchdown pass from John Schaub to DJ Winter. So PLU was up on the board early, 7-0. The defense forces a 3-and-out. TJ Morris gets his hand on the punt and gives PLU the ball at the 8-yard line. PLU takes advantage when Kellen Westering, our boy, catches an 8-yard pass from John Schaub. All of a sudden, PLU's up 14-0, and really, it was over from then on because PLU defense played ridiculously well. We keep going here. Pacific scored, and then Dallin Rodriguez hit a couple field goals, and the dagger came late in the fourth quarter. There was a minute 41 left in the game, and Darren Hargrove busted off a 52-yard run. I mean, everyone knows that the PLU was running the ball to ice the game, to run the clock out, and all of a sudden, Darren breaks free and scores a 52-yard touchdown. Austin Cardoza caught a 15-yard pass from Pacific with 21 seconds left, but that really didn't matter. PLU won the game 27-16. As I mentioned, the PLU defense was incredibly impressive on Saturday. Pacific entered the game averaging 32 points per game. PLU held them to, basically 10, but 16. They held them to half of that. Who was most impressive on the PLU defensive side of the ball?
Well, I'm going to have to go with Travis McMillian. Stud all year. He was named Northwest Conference Defensive Player of the Week this last week. He tallied 8 solo tackles and 5 assisted for a total of 13 tackles against Pacific, and he's led the team in tackles for the last 3 games, which is every game they've played this season. And guys, what's really impressive to me about Travis is, if any of you were able to read The Mask, there was a piece on him, and some people may not know, but Travis came into PLU expecting to be a quarterback. So his first year, his freshman year, he practiced with the quarterbacks. He got reps with the quarterbacks, and they kind of had to coaches had to sit him down and say, you might not be getting much time as a quarterback because he's going to be behind, at the time, Dalton Ritchie and John Schaub, so he might not get his time until senior year. And so he took it upon himself and said, well, where can I help this team out? And so they decided to put him on the defensive end of the ball. And, wow, those coaches are probably what a pleasant surprise for them, for him to just come in and really make an impact in his role. Is just incredible. And something else I love about Travis is just how humble he is in his position. You hear his name all the time, but he is all about the team and respecting his teammates. And that's what I love.
Absolutely. All right, Drew, who stood out to you on the defensive side of the ball for PLU?
You know who never gets the airtime, Christian? It's those guys inside the trenches who are fighting and battling and throwing hands all game long in those 6-second controlled street fights that happen between the 3-yard markers on either side. And it's sad because, all the offensive guys, they get all the commercials, they get all the touchdown dances, they get all the love. The defensive guys, the only people you ever hear about are the Luke Kuechly guys or the Richard Sherman guys, the guys in the secondary, not the guys in the front 7, not the guys in the trenches, not the linemen, not the guys with their hand on the ground. That's why I want to talk about Mo Rodriguez. Mo was incredible, and it wasn't in anything you see on the stat sheet. The lineman's job is simple. Your job is to take on a block, possibly 2, clog up a running lane, and let your linebacker scrape over the top and make tackles. And that's what he did. And the one time he had a chance to make a play, he did, and he iced the game with an enormous J.J. Swat-like representation. That was absolutely awesome to see. It's good to see a lineman get some love every once in a while.
To your point, that PLU defensive line and the defense as a whole, the Pacific running back entered the game with was averaging 110 yards per game.
Yep.
PLU held him to 51 yards on 20 carries.
Ugh.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So let's jump over to the offensive side of the ball. PLU has used 2 quarterbacks all season long. John Schaub usually starts the game, and eventually, by about the second quarter, in comes Cole Chandler. We've mentioned it before. They both do separate things well. John can throw the ball and throw it extremely accurately and he's got a lot of zip on his ball this year. Cole can move better than John can, and that's what the thought process behind using those two guys. Pacific was able to get pressure on the quarterback. The Boxers had 5 sacks on the day. PLU countered by keeping Cole Chandler in the game so he could escape that pressure and help the PLU offense move. I thought this was as good as a way to use two quarterbacks. What did y'all think?
Well, just to throw some stats out there, John Schaub was 8 for 14 for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns. Schaub threw for those 2 touchdowns early, which gave the Lutes the momentum early on in the game, which I think was really important right out of the gate. And he didn't turn the ball over, which is pretty impressive. But for only playing, not even 2 quarters, I think he was pretty efficient there.
Yeah, I would agree. Drew, what about Cole? What'd Cole do?
Cole was effective both running and passing. Cole was 6 for 11 for 39 yards. Cole ran the ball 7 times for 62 yards. But like John, he didn't turn the ball over, and he helped the team win. The one thing I want to point out, however, is that I know I've been a very big, big naysayer, let's call it, of this 2-quarterback system. I don't feel it's right. I don't feel it ever works. And it still really hasn't worked. Would you like to know why?
Why?
Because although Cole has passed the ball well and ran the ball well, do you know what he has not done?
Let me know.
Scored the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He's not scored the ball. PLU has yet to score with Cole Chandler under center. They have yet to be in the end zone. Last time I checked, you need to do that to win games. And listen, Cole played the job of not the second quarterback in the 2-quarterback system, but he played the job of the backup quarterback in the 2-quarterback system. Because after the Lutes felt comfortable with their 14-point lead, they said, John, we no longer need you to drive the ball down the field since you're the only quarterback who can do it. They said, now we're going to go to Cole, and Cole's going to run for his life for 2 quarters so you don't get hurt. He played the job of the backup.
You think pulling John
at
half was
a pure
early,
health decision?
So early.
Was a pure health decision.
I think it made sense
based
though.
on the O-line. It was a pure health decision.
I think it made sense. If Pacific is going to pressure the quarterback the way that they did, why wouldn't you put the player that can move better than the other player in the game and keep the ball moving forward?
Because
I thought it worked as well as it could.
Do you know what happens when people blitz? You have to take people out of coverage.
You throw the ball into the blitz.
Throw the ball into the blitz. So why would you not keep your best throwing quarterback in the game? That makes this a pure health decision.
We're going to end up in a tough deal here because I thought it worked as well as it could.
I thought it didn't work. I thought Cole did a great job as the backup, not the second quarterback in the 2-quarterback system.
27 points of the game. Dallin Rodriguez has been as good as he's ever been.
Who?
Dallin Rodriguez, the field goal kicker.
What position does he play?
Getting points. He plays get points.
So why can't we get in the end zone? We've only got in the end zone with John under center. That's all I'm saying. Numbers don't lie.
They do not lie.
Numbers don't lie.
You're absolutely right.
When John Schaub is under center, PLU scores.
But for the situation,
and I know Lacey likes when Cole comes in because she doesn't cringe every single time John takes a snap. So I get it. She's looking at me like, you're crazy. Shut up. Don't say this. He needs to come out at halftime when they're up. No, he shouldn't. Keep John in the game. If they would have kept John in, I guarantee you John throws for 300 yards and 4+ touchdowns. And if anybody wants to say boo, that's just wrong. Mm-hmm. If you're going to continue to blitz, of course you're going to blitz the run quarterback. What does he do? He runs. Besides the one time he broke free of the blitz and got around the corner, he went nowhere.
Yep.
He went nowhere.
I agree with
that. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm done.
Quarterbacks can't throw from their backs. That's all I'm going to say. I think it worked well.
Nah.
Okay. Well, all right, let's move on. Let's move on to
tough deal for this week.
Deal of the
that's
week.
what that was. Yeah. Let's move on to everybody's heroes from last week. Lacey, who was your hero?
Senior running back Darren Hardgrove. We kind of already hit on it. His last little run in the game really sealed the deal for the Lutes. And Darren is just such a hard worker. I was able to stay for PLU's Afterglow. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's kind of a tradition at PLU where after each game the players will sit with their family and friends and kind of recap the game and give shout-outs to certain players. And actually Scott Westering, the head coach, was the one to give the shout-out to Darren, saying he is probably the hardest worker on this team. And I couldn't agree more with that. Darren actually happens to be John's housemate. John Traub is my boyfriend, so I'm there.
Finally, it's come out on the air. It has come out.
Okay, let me finish. So, to my point, I'm at the house a lot, so I know Darren pretty well, but he's always, over the summer, he was always that guy to put in the extra reps. When the guys had their sprint workouts, Darren was staying an extra 10, 20 minutes to get extra reps in. And a funny story, I was at the house. It was a late night, maybe 11:30. Darren worked at Domino's all summer, as did many of the guys in that house. And he came home around 11:30. He was done with his shift, and he comes home, and we're all watching a movie, and we're like, Darren, you want to come watch a movie with us? And he's like, no, I'm going to go for a run. So he goes out to the track at 11:30, 12 o'clock, and is putting work in. He comes back about an hour later just drenched in sweat, and that's just the kind of player that deserves to have a great senior season, and he has had that so far.
I have been, for a class, I've been following Scott Westring around at practice. Darren actually asked me if I was looking to come here. So thanks, Darren. I am a junior here.
So
and,
awesome.
And I'm here. So yeah, Drew, who stood out to you?
All I have to say is this, and I'm gonna let you go on your rant because I don't want to jump on your toes. But special teams was special. They were special, and I'm not just talking about the punter who we all love and we give love every week in here.
Big man crush on Anthony Lauthan. I think as a player, don't get it weird, but as a player, I love Anthony Lauthan.
We love us some good punters. So special teams was special. Punting was great. Field goal kicking was fantastic. It's a place where the Lutes have struggled for a very long time. But I want to talk about that special teams defense, that punt block unit, that return unit. Special teams was special. It's a third of the game, ladies and gentlemen. People think there's only two parts to the game, offense and defense. It couldn't be further from the truth.
Drew just yelled at the PLU offense for kicking field goals, then he just praised the field goal kicker, so it's kind of weird. I'm going to take TJ Morris from the punt return unit. He was the person who blocked that punt that gave PLU the ball back on the 8-yard line. PLU scored right after that play. It was huge. It put PLU up 14-0. Early. Said the PLU defense was so good that literally could have been the end of the ball game, and PLU would have been just fine.